Hello, this is Rajarshi Palit, PGT Economics of JNB Bidhum. Today we are going to discuss about agriculture from the period 1950 to 1990 in Indian economy. The learning objectives of today's presentation is the learners will be able to explain the rationale behind various changes made in agriculture in India. The learners will be able to describe the reasons behind India adopting land reforms and land ceiling. The learners will be able to explain the achievements made due to land reforms and land ceiling. Then the learners will be able to distinguish between marketable surplus and marketed surplus. The learner will be able to tell the merits and demerits of green revolution. And finally, the learners will be able to suggest ways to improve the condition of farmers in India. Now let us start with land reforms in India. Now, what do you mean by land reform? Now, land reform was a process where excess land was taken away from the zamindars and jagirdars and it was handed over to the actual tillers of the land. The idea behind this was that the actual farmers who were cultivating the land, they should get the ownership of the land instead of the zamindars and the jagirdars. So you can see that within 1 year of independence, India initiated steps to abolish intermediaries like zamindars and jagirdars. Now, why did these zamindars and jagirdars came to existence? Right, the reason was the Permanent Settlement Act of 1793 that was enacted by Lord Cornwallis. Now, the idea behind land reform was to incentivize agriculture and to encourage capital formation in agriculture so that the condition of farmers, the condition of agriculture could improve. Since the actual tiller of the land would be more serious about the cultivation of the land, that would ensure that their income will increase and at the same time the income of the farmers will also increase. Next we come to land ceiling. Now what is land ceiling? This was introduced to abolish the concentration of land in the hands of the few. That means those who were zamindars and the jagirdars. Land ceiling means fixing the maximum size of land which an individual could own. That means there would be some ceiling which would be imposed and the excess land will be taken away from those people and it would be handed over to the actual tillers of the land. Now what were the limits that were imposed by land ceiling? Irrigated land producing 2 crops in a year would be 18 acres. An individual will have only 18 acres of land that was irrigated and could produce 2 crops. Then next was irrigated land producing single crop in a year was 27 acres. The limit was 27 acres. And the third category was land that could not be used for agriculture and its limit was 54 acres. Now due to this process of land ceiling and land reforms, what happened in India was there were 200 lakh tenants who came in direct contact with the government. That means now the government knew that there were 200 lakh tillers of the land who had the ownership of the land also. This ownership of land helped India to increase agricultural output. It helped in increasing the income of the farmers and it also reduced the imports of food grains from USA. However, due to this process of land ceiling and land reforms, we could not ensure that it would make equitable distribution of income. That was one of the loopholes of the Land Ceiling Act. So, land reforms and land ceiling, which was meant for ensuring equity in the country, due to some loopholes in the Land Ceiling Act, this could not be ensured totally. Now, land reforms were successful in Kerala and West Bengal because the government of these two states were committed to the idea that the actual tiller of the land should be the owner of the land. Next, we come to Green Revolution. The stagnation in agriculture during the colonial rule was permanently broken by Green Revolution, which refers to large increase in production of food grains resulting from the use of XIV seeds, which are also called magic seeds sometimes, because Due to the use of these types of seeds, we could see a threefold increase in the production of food grains in India, mainly in paddy and wheat. There was a tremendous jump in the production of food grains in India due to Green Revolution. Green Revolution was initially successful in the states of Punjab, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Now why these three states only? Because these three states had affluent farmers who could afford irrigation facilities and other prescribed pesticides and fertilizers for the implementation of the XIV seeds policy or the Green Revolution. So these states had rich farmers who could manage with the prescribed amount of seeds and pesticides under the Green Revolution. Next, Indian agriculture, which grew at a rate of about 1% per annum during the 50 years before independence, has grown at about 2.6% post-independence era. So you can see that after independence, the rate of growth of agriculture in India has been more in comparison to what it was before independence. Today, agriculture contributes 22% of GDP, and agriculture still is a major source of livelihood in our country. Now, in the second phase of Green Revolution, that is from 1970 to 1980, the HYV technology spread to a large number of states and benefited more variety of crops. The Green Revolution resulted in an increase in marketed surplus also. Green Revolution helped India to achieve self-reliance in agriculture. Because of Green Revolution, because of the HYV seeds that were used in this type of cultivation, there was a tremendous increase in output of food grains. However, there were its side effects as well. Green Revolution resulted in an increase in the gap between the rich and the poor farmers because the poor farmers could not afford the prescribed amount of pesticides and insecticides under the Green Revolution. The crops were also prone to attack by pests, and the small farmers who adopted this technology could lose everything in pest attacks. So this was one of the drawbacks of Green Revolution. In order to overcome such situation, the government provided low cost loan to the farmers in order to overcome such difficulties. Now, what is marketed surplus? Marketed surplus is the portion of agricultural produce which is sold in the market by the farmers. Now, the total amount of output which the farmers produce, they don't bring the entire amount to the market. What they do is they keep some amount for their self consumption, and the remaining amount is brought to the market for being sold. So the amount of food grains that comes to the market for being sold is the marketed surplus. Now, as a result of Green Revolution, what happened was there was a tremendous increase in the output of food grains. So that automatically resulted in the increase in the amount of food grains that were brought to the market for being sold. So the increase in marketed surplus resulted in bringing down the prices of wheat and rice, which helped the poor as their market price fell. Now let us come to some questions which I have given from the presentation. The first is, who enacted the permanent settlement in India? Second, define marketed surplus. Third, who is known as the father of Green Revolution in India? Next, name the states where Green Revolution was successful in the first phase and why. And finally, why do you think Green Revolution was necessary for India? Thank you.